President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it freed us from and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of nations." In 1954, President Eisenhower renamed Armistice Day to Veterans Day. The American veteran, simply put, is a person who has fought to protect American interests at home or abroad, a person who has signed his or her name to suffer hardness with good cheer, to risk his or her life for the promise of a great country. At South Houston High School, we are honored to share our hallways with those who have served our country under the most difficult of circumstances. These veterans not only served our country years ago, but they continue to give back by devoting their lives to educating and mentoring students in the classroom. Master Sergeant Jamal Cheeks. Master Sergeant Cheeks served in the United States Marine Corps from 1987 to 2010, an incredible 23 years. His first duty station was the Marine Corps Air Station in El Toro, California. He served in Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. He says, "I was awarded an academic scholarship to UH Downtown, but was soon placed on academic probation and eventually revocation of scholarship for not meeting GPA requirements. My mom said, 'You need to find somewhere else to live,' so the Marine Corps became Cheeks' new home." Master Sergeant Cheeks currently heads the Naval Science Department. He says, "My background in the Marine Corps was in administration, training, education, and senior staff advisor. Becoming an educator was an ideal fit because of my military background and formal education." Sergeant Patrick Fox. Sergeant Fox served in the United States Army from 1986 to 1994 and began his service in West Germany. Serving during Desert Storm, Sergeant Fox cites his eagerness to attend college as one of the contributing factors to his enlistment. "I wanted to defend this great nation and help pay for college. Army paid for my bachelor's and graduate school." Sergeant Fox currently teaches astronomy. He credits divine intervention as the reason why he's at South Houston High. "After working many different jobs, I truly feel that God put me on this planet to work with young adults as a teacher or a coach." Specialist Raymond Garcia. Specialist Garcia served in the United States Army in the mid-1990s, his first duty station being Fort Bragg in North Carolina. Specialist Garcia cites his need for a job and the availability of the military to provide one. Specialist Garcia currently teaches U.S. history because he enjoys history and working with students. Petty Officer 2nd Class Patricia Harden. Petty Officer Harden served in the United States Naval Reserve from 1986 to 1994 and served during Desert Storm. Her first duty station was at the Belle Chase Naval Air Station in New Orleans, Louisiana. She says, "In the 6th grade, I saw a TV show with women in the Navy, and that did it. The Navy became one of my 2 plans for life. However, service was also in her blood. My dad served in the Navy, and my mom received her nursing scholarship through the Army Air Corps, both during World War II. Mom and Dad always stressed how the U.S. had been so good to them and how it's good to give back." Petty Officer Harden currently teaches economics at South Houston High School. "I always loved school. It was a place of new ideas, old ideas, and people that love to talk about both. Along with that, it's a chance to give back to our community through our students. It is a chance to do good for others and a chance to enjoy that adventure and grow." As for the reason she doesn't have an old photograph, she says, "I lived through 2 tornadoes, 2 fires, and an explosion. Pictures were lost along the way." Senior Chief Petty Officer Trent Harrell. Senior Chief Petty Officer Harrell served in the United States Navy for 26 years from 1985 to 2011. He proudly served in Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, the Kosovo conflict, and America's global war on terror. His first duty station was in Long Beach, California on the USS Missouri. Senior Chief Petty Officer Harrell's curiosity and desire to see the world convinced him to enlist. I wanted to see the world and serve my country, he says. Senior Chief Petty Officer Harrell is currently serving in another capacity as South Houston High School's Naval Science Instructor. I chose education so that I could give back to struggling students, as I once was, and help out those who came from minimal means. Lieutenant LaShunda D. Page. Lieutenant Page served in the United States Navy and Air National Guard for 15 years between 1991 and 2006. Her first duty station was Point Loma Submarine Base in San Diego, California. I enlisted in the military 10 days after high school because I didn't want to attend college. The military would provide the same comforts of my family, but with a paycheck attached. Since then, Lieutenant Page became Dr. Page, and she is now our school's lead counselor. She credits luck and familiarity as the reason she's in education, citing, "Education chose me." First Lieutenant Theron Tyndall. Lieutenant Tyndall served in the United States Army. His first duty station was in Fort Hood in Central Texas. He says he signed up for the Army to defend his country from communism. He proudly served American interests during the waning days of the Soviet Union in the eventual end of the Cold War. Lieutenant Tyndall eventually found himself at South Houston High School. A geometry teacher, he says, "I've always been good at math and wanted to give the students a better life by teaching them how to do math." Sgt Timur Sin. Sgt. Sin served in the United States Army National Guard from 2013 until recently in 2020. He proudly served during America's global war on terror. Sgt. Sin cites his patriotism and obligation to civic duty as reasons why he enlisted. Sgt. Sin is currently one of South Houston's health science teachers and a HOSA advisor. "I've always wanted to be a teacher," he says, "and I bring many years of practical experience to the profession." Sgt. Brad Wheeler. Sgt. Wheeler served in the United States Army from 1997 to 2003. He says, "I have and always will love my country and feel it is the duty of every American to serve. Freedom has a cost that the free must pay to stay free." He goes on to say, "The recruiter told me that the Army would pay for all of my college loans if I went and enlisted, and they did." Sgt. Wheeler served in Afghanistan, was medically discharged, worked in the oil fields, and then became a physics teacher. "The Army taught me many life lessons, one of which is by helping and serving others, I had job satisfaction. I worked on 5 continents and in more than 60 countries around the world. I discovered Texas is the best place on earth, and time with family is the greatest commodity, and money has nothing to do with job satisfaction." Sgt. Mark Harrington. Sgt. Harrington served in the United States Army and Florida Army National Guard from 1985 to 1992. His first duty station was located in Kensington, Germany. He says, "I always had an innate interest in the military. I think because I thought it would be exciting and it would be meaningful. I loved reading and watching stories about it and talking to veterans. It was almost a foregone conclusion that I would enlist." Sgt. Harrington is currently teaching English 2 at South Houston High School. He goes on to say, "My experience kicked off my desire for meaningful work and in fact gave me my first experience as a teacher. My previous career as a writer, photographer, and editor offered a lot of travel, creativity, variety, and exposure to people and experiences that I never would have sought on my own, but it lacked meaning because it was not clear nor required that our work made a lasting impact on people. Education has meaning because what we do now is supposed to have a lasting impact." John F. Kennedy once said, As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. Our South Houston High School veterans are examples to all of us about what it means to serve our country, from wearing the uniform to teaching and mentoring inside the classroom. So it is up to you, the students of South Houston, to show your appreciation not with just your words, but rather by living up to these tenets and values others have fought for, by making good on the promise of a country, by choosing good over evil, right over wrong, vigor and resolve over indifference, service towards a greater good, and justice for all.